The market was dark and full of noise. Strange creatures walked between rusty stalls, their eyes glowing in the shadows. It smelled of smoke, oil, and fear. This was not a place for kindness. This was a place where lives were sold. At the center of the market stood a stage made of broken metal. Chains hung from its sides. On this stage, the auctioneer shouted in a rough alien tongue. Beside him stood a girl. She looked no older than 17 in human years. Her hair was silver, her skin pale, and her eyes glowed softly like dying stars. The crowd laughed at her. Some aliens hissed, others spat. "She is nothing," one alien shouted. "Too weak." "Useless," another growled. The girl kept her head down. She did not fight. She did not speak. Her wrists were tied with rough rope. She looked more like a shadow than a person. The auctioneer raised his voice. "A rare alien girl. Taken from a forgotten colony. Her kind are almost gone. She can be yours. She is cheap. Who will take her?" But nobody wanted her. The crowd only jeered. "She looks broken. She is worthless. Why keep such trash?" The girl's heart sank lower with every word. Her whole life she had been treated like this, like she was less than nothing. Her glowing eyes, once a sign of beauty in her people, now made others think she was cursed. The auctioneer grew angry. He slammed his hand on the stand. 5 credits. Only 5 credits for this rare creature. Someone, take her. The crowd only laughed louder. Even 5 is too much. The girl closed her eyes. For a moment, she wished she could vanish. She wished she could disappear into the cold night sky above. But the ropes reminded her she could not escape. She was trapped then. A new voice spoke. "I'll take her." The words cut through the noise of the market. The crowd went silent. All heads turned. At the back of the crowd stood a man. He was not an alien. He was human. Tall, broad-shouldered, his face half hidden by the hood of his dark coat. His eyes were sharp, calm, and steady. He did not look like the others. He did not laugh. He did not mock. The auctioneer blinked in surprise. "You, human. You want this, girl?" The man nodded once. Yes. The crowd burst into laughter again. A human, buying trash. Fool, why waste credits on her? She will only bring him trouble. But the man did not care. He stepped forward, his boots echoing against the metal floor. He reached the stage and tossed a small metal coin into the auctioneer's hand. 5 credits, he said simply. The auctioneer shrugged. "She is yours. Then, take her. But do not come crying when she is useless." The ropes were cut from the girl's wrists. She stumbled, her knees weak, her body trembling. She looked up at the man, her glowing eyes wide with fear and confusion. "Why?" she whispered. Her voice was small, almost broken. "Why would you buy me?" The man looked down at her. His face was calm, unreadable. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke in a low voice, just loud enough for her to hear. "Because they don't see what I see." The girl stared at him, unsure what he meant. His words were strange. They carried no mockery, no cruelty. Only something else, something she had almost forgotten. A spark of respect. The man placed a cloak over her shoulders and guided her away from the stage. The crowd whispered and laughed behind them, but he ignored them all. As they left the market, the girl looked back one last time. The stage, the chains, the laughter, it all faded into the distance. She felt the heavy weight of fear still pressing on her chest. She had no idea who this human was or why he wanted her, but deep inside, a question burned. Had her life just changed forever? The cold night air wrapped around them as they walked into the shadows. The market lights flickered and died behind them. The girl kept her head down, her heart pounding. She was free from the stage, but not from fear. The human walked beside her in silence. Every step he took was steady, sure, as if he already knew the path ahead. And in that silence, the girl felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. The night air was cold as the human led the girl away from the auction. The market noises faded behind them, but the sound of laughter still echoed in her mind. She walked slowly, her wrists sore from the ropes, her body weak from hunger. Every step felt heavy. The man said nothing. His hood hid most of his face. But his steady walk showed he was not worried. He did not look back at the crowd. He did not care about their whispers. The girl glanced at him. Who was he? Why would a human waste credits on her? In this galaxy, humans were not rare, but they were not welcome everywhere. Many alien worlds hated them, some feared them, and some only tolerated them for trade. Yet this one had stepped forward. Without hesitation, finally, she whispered, her voice trembling. Why did you buy me? The man did not answer at once. He kept walking until they reached a quieter path between tall metal walls. Then he stopped. He turned to her. His eyes, sharp and dark, studied her glowing ones. They sold you for almost nothing, he said calmly. But nothing can be a lie. Sometimes what looks worthless can hold the greatest value. She frowned, confused. Nobody had ever spoken to her like that before. Usually, she only heard words like trash or curse. His words made no sense. They almost sounded protective. You don't know me, she whispered. You don't know what I am. The man's lips curved slightly, not a smile, not a frown. I don't need to. I can see enough. Before she could ask what he meant, a loud metallic sound echoed above them. The girl flinched, pulling the cloak tighter around her shoulders. From the shadows of the wall, two alien thugs appeared. Their bodies were covered in armor plates, their eyes glowing red. Well, one of them hissed. The human bought the worthless girl. The other laughed. 5 credits. Too much for trash. Maybe we take her off your hands. The girl froze. Her heart pounded. She had seen men like these before. Cruel, greedy, violent, meant. She expected the human to step back, to run, or to hand her over. That was always how it went. But the man did not move away. He stepped in front of her. His hand rested on the side of his coat. His voice was calm, but firm. Walk away. The aliens laughed louder. You dare threaten us. Human, you are far from home. This is not your world. The girl trembled. She wanted to pull his cloak and beg him to run. He could not fight two armed aliens alone. Yet he stood tall, unmoving. His eyes never left theirs. The first alien drew a blade, sharp and humming with energy. We will cut you down and take her. In a flash, the human moved. A beam of light shot from his weapon, quick, precise. The blade clattered to the ground. The alien hissed in pain. His hand burned. The second alien growled, rushing forward. But the human's boot struck his chest, sending him crashing against the wall. The fight was over in seconds. The thugs scrambled away, muttering curses. Their pride wounded more than their bodies. The girl stared in shock. She had never seen anyone fight like that fast, controlled, without fear. Most people who saw danger either begged or ran. This man stood against it as if he had done so many times before. Her voice shook. Why? Why protect me? I am nothing to you. He looked back at her, his expression unreadable. Maybe not nothing. Maybe more than you think. They continued, walking until the walls opened into a docking yard. Ships of all shapes and sizes rested there, engines humming softly. The human led her toward a small vessel, but strong. its hull scarred by many journeys. He stopped at the base of the ramp and turned to her once more. "From this moment, you are not theirs. You walk with me now." Her breath caught. She wanted to believe him, but fear still chained her heart. "And if I cannot walk? If I am weak?" His eyes softened slightly, though his voice stayed firm. "Then I will carry you until you are strong." The girl felt something stir deep inside her chest. The weight of years of rejection and pain pressed against her. But his words cracked it just enough for light to slip through. As they stepped onto the ship, the engines began to wake. The air filled with a low roar of power. She looked around the small cabin, the worn seats, the glowing panels. It was not much, but it felt more alive than the cold market. The man removed his hood, revealing a face marked with scars and strength. "My name is Kale," he said simply. She blinked at him. It was the first name she had ever been given with respect. He looked at her again, his voice steady. "You are safe now, but safety is never free. You must learn why they wanted to get rid of you, and why I will not." The girl's glowing eyes widened. For the first time, she wondered maybe he knew something about her that even she did not. Outside, the city lights flickered in the night. The ship rose slowly, leaving the world of chains and cruelty behind. Yet the question hung heavy in the air. Had she been saved, or had her real journey just begun? The ship drifted away from the planet, cutting through the black sea of stars. The alien girl sat in silence, her hands resting on her knees, her glowing eyes fixed on the window. Outside, the endless galaxy stretched wide and cold. She had never left that market before. She had never seen freedom this close. But it did not feel like freedom yet. It felt like falling into the unknown. Kale, the human, sat at the controls. His scarred hands moved with calm skill, adjusting levers and pressing keys on the old console. The hum of the engines filled the cabin. Every sound was steady, controlled, unlike the chaos of the market. Still, the girl's heart would not rest. She turned her head slightly. "Where are you taking me?" Kale did not look at her. His eyes stayed on the glowing map before him. "Away from them." "That is not an answer," she said softly. His lips moved, almost a smile. "It is the only one you need for now." The girl pulled the cloak tighter around her shoulders. She wanted to trust him, but trust was dangerous. All her life, every promise given to her had been a lie. She had been told she was useless, cursed, unwanted. Why should this man be different? Silence stretched between them until Kale spoke again. His voice was low, steady. "Do you have a name?" The girl froze. A name. Her people had names once, but hers had been taken from her. At the market, they only called her thing, creature, or trash. Her real name was buried deep, a secret she no longer dared to share. She shook her head. No. Kale's eyes flicked toward her for the first time. His gaze was sharp, but not cruel. "Then you will need one." She frowned. "Why?" "Because you are not nothing," he said simply. "Nothing does not need a name, but you do." Her chest tightened. The words were strange, heavy. She did not answer. Keen, she only turned back to the stars, afraid that if she spoke, her voice would break. Hours passed in silence. The ship sailed smoothly through the dark. Kale set the controls to autopilot and stood. He walked to a small metal box in the corner and opened it. Inside were packets of food and bottles of water. He carried one to her and held it out. "Eat," he said. The girl stared at the packet. She did not move. Kale's brow furrowed. "What is wrong?" Her voice was thin, trembling. "Poison." Kale tilted his head, surprised. Then he placed the food to his own lips, took a bite, and chewed slowly. After swallowing, he handed the rest back to her. Not poison. She looked at him, uncertain, but her hunger was stronger than her fear. Carefully, she took the packet. The taste was plain, but it was the first real food she had eaten in days. She drank the water, her throat burning as it swallowed relief. For a brief moment, warmth filled her chest. Not from the food, from something else. Kindness, she did not know if she could trust it yet, but it was there. Cale sat across from her, watching quietly. His eyes held questions he did not ask. Finally, he said, "They laughed when I bought you. Do you know why?" Her hands trembled slightly. She looked down at them. "Because I am worthless." "No," Cale said firmly. His voice cut through the cabin like steel. "That is what they want you to believe. But that is not truth." Her eyes flickered up to his, glowing faintly in the dim light. "Then, what is truth?" Cale leaned back, his gaze never leaving hers. "Truth is power. You have it. I saw it in you." Her breath caught. Power, the word filled her with fear. She remembered broken machines, lights flickering when she cried, doors unlocking without touch. She remembered people calling her dangerous, cursed. "I cannot control it," she whispered. Cale's voice softened. "Not yet." Her heart raced. He knew. Somehow, he knew. And yet, he did not push her away. The silence grew heavy. The hum of the engines filled it. She pulled her knees closer to her chest, trying to hide the storm inside her. Cale stood again, walking back to the controls. "Rest. We have a long journey ahead." But rest did not come easily. She lay on the narrow bench, her eyes half closed, listening to the quiet. She expected chains, but there were none. She expected harsh orders, but there were none. She expected pain, but there was only silence. It felt wrong. It felt unreal. And yet, part of her wanted to believe it was real. The stars outside the window drifted slowly. The ship carried them deeper into the unknown. The girl whispered to herself so quietly Cale could not hear. "Why me? Why now?" But deep down, she already knew the truth was coming. Her secret could not stay hidden forever. The ship glided through endless space. Days seemed to pass, though time was hard to measure in the black sea of stars. The alien girl slept in short, restless moments, waking often from dreams filled with fire and screams. Cale never spoke much. He stayed at the controls, silent, his eyes always sharp, scanning screens and star maps. He was not cruel, not cold, but he was distant like a man carrying too many secrets. The girl tried to stay invisible, but strange things began to happen around her. It started small. A lamp flickered when she walked past it. A panel beeped without reason when her hand brushed near. The engines hummed louder whenever her fear rose. At first, she thought it was coincidence, but Cale noticed. He always noticed. One night when the ship was quiet, she sat alone near the window, staring at the stars. Her thoughts were heavy, her chest tight. She wished she could disappear. The glass before her shimmered faintly, as if bending to her emotions. "Stop!" She jumped. Cale stood behind her, his shadow tall in the dim cabin. His voice was calm, but it carried weight. Her glowing eyes widened. I didn't mean to. You don't control it?" Cale said, stepping closer. "It controls you." Her breath caught. Shame burned her face. She wrapped her arms around herself. "That is why they called me cursed. Machines break when I am near. People get hurt. I ruin everything." Cale's gaze stayed firm, but not cruel. "You are not cursed. You are untrained." Her lips parted, confused. Untrained. Cale sat across from her, resting his elbows on his knees. His scarred hands folded together. Power without control is chaos. Chaos frightens people. So they call it evil. But power itself is not evil. It is a tool, a weapon, a shield. What it becomes depends on you. The girl shook her head quickly, fear in her voice. No, I don't want it. I don't want any of it. If I use it, people will die. Kale's eyes narrowed. And if you never use it, people will still die. You, me, anyone who comes after us. Do you think the galaxy will leave you alone? She stared at him, her chest tight. His words struck like cold truth. Kale leaned forward. They sold you for nothing because they were blind. But someone will come looking for you. When they do, you must choose hide and be hunted, or rise and fight. Her hands trembled. The memory of the market burned inside her. The chains, the laughter. The word worthless. She wanted to vanish, to be nothing. But a small voice deep inside whispered that Kale might be right. He studied her in silence for a long moment. Then he stood, walking to a storage panel. He pulled out a small device-around metal orb with faint blue lines running across it. He placed it on the table. This is a training core. It responds to energy. If you truly have power, it will answer you. Her eyes widened in fear. She shook her head. No, I can't. You can, Kale said firmly. Or you will never escape them. The girl's hands curled into fists. She wanted to refuse. She wanted to run. But part of her burned with a need to know, was she really cursed, or something more? Slowly, she reached out. Her hand hovered over the orb. The blue lines flickered faintly. She closed her eyes, heart pounding. She thought of the chains, the jeers, the pain. The orb pulsed with light. She gasped, pulling her hand back. The orb floated, rising off the table, glowing brighter and brighter. Kale's eyes narrowed, but he did not move. He watched the girl's breath came fast. The orb spun wildly, energy crackling around it. Lights flickered across the cabin. Sparks danced in the air. Stop, she cried, fear rising. The orb shook violently, almost ready to burst. Kale's voice cut through the chaos, sharp as a blade. Control it. Do not let it control you. Her glowing eyes locked on the orb. Her body shook, but she forced her hands to steady. She drew in a deep breath, pushing back the fear. The orb slowed. Its light dimmed. Slowly, it lowered back onto the table. Silence filled the ship. The girl collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. Sweat ran down her face. Kale stepped closer, his voice low. You see? Not cursed. Not worthless. Power. Real power. Her eyes shimmered with fear and wonder. But it almost destroyed everything. Kale nodded. Yes, because fear is stronger than you, until you master it. She looked at him, her heart racing. For the first time, she felt the truth pressing against her. She was not nothing. She was dangerous, yes. But danger could also mean strength. Kale stood tall, his shadow long in the cabin. They will come for you. They will want that power. But when they do, you must be ready. The girl's hands trembled, but her voice held a spark of something new. And you? Why are you helping me? Kale's face darkened, his scars catching the dim light. Because once, someone saved me when I was nothing. Now it is my turn. The girl stared at him, her chest heavy with questions. The orb on the table still pulsed faintly, as if waiting for her. She was no longer just a slave, no longer only a victim. She was something more. But what? The stars outside burned brighter, and the ship sailed deeper into the unknown. The girl thought the galaxy was endless and silent, but silence never lasted. Days after her first training with the orb, Kale grew more alert. His eyes stayed longer on the scanners, his hand always near his weapon. The calm rhythm of their journey felt broken, like a storm was waiting beyond the stars. The girl noticed it. Something is wrong, she whispered one night. Kale did not answer at first. His gaze stayed on the flickering radar. Then he said in a low voice, "They know." Her heart sank. "Know what?" "That I took you, that you live." The air in the cabin grew heavy. She had feared this moment, but part of her had prayed it would never come. She pulled the cloak tighter, her glowing eyes wide. They will not stop, will they? Cale shook his head. No, because now they understand what they almost lost. The girl's chest tightened. She thought of the auction, the laughter, the word worthless. Now, suddenly, she was valuable again, but only as something to be used or hunted. The ship trembled suddenly. A warning light flashed on the console. Cale cursed under his breath. "They've found us." Through the window, dark shapes appeared. Against the star-sleek alien ships, their wings sharp, glowing red lights marking their hunger, like wolves circling prey. The girl froze, her breath quick. "What do we do?" Cale's hands moved fast over the controls. "We run," engines roared. The ship darted through the starfield, twisting and turning. Beams of red light cut past, them shaking the hull. The girl gripped the seat, her heart pounding. But no matter how fast Cale flew, the hunters stayed close. The cums crackled with a harsh alien voice. "Human, hand over the girl, and you may live." Cale's jaw tightened. He pressed a button, cutting the channel. His voice was calm, steady. "Ignore them." The girl's eyes shimmered. "They will kill you for me. I should go. I should stop." Cale's tone was sharp, cutting her words. "You are not cargo. You are not a burden. You are my choice, and I do not break my choices." Her chest ached. She wanted to believe him, but fear screamed louder. Another blast rocked the ship. A panel sparked, smoke filling the air. Cale slammed a switch, forcing the vessel into a steep dive toward a nearby planet. The girl stumbled, clutching the wall. Through the window, she saw the world below, wasteland of deserts and storms. Cale's voice was steady. "Hold on." The ship pierced the atmosphere, fire blazing across its hull. The hunters followed, their red beams cutting through the storm clouds. Lightning cracked. Wind howled. Cale fought the controls, landing the ship hard on a rocky canyon floor. The hull screeched, metal groaning, but at last the vessel skidded to a stop. Smoke hissed. Silence fell briefly. Then Cale rose. "They'll come down. We move now." He grabbed his weapon and motioned for her. She followed, her legs weak, her body trembling. The canyon air was hot, the ground cracked and dry. Shadows stretched long beneath the stormy sky. The girl whispered, "We cannot outrun them." Cale's eyes narrowed. "Then we outsmart them." They moved quickly into the canyon's twists, the sound of engines above closing in. The girl's glowing eyes darted around. Every shadow looked like danger. Every sound made her heart race. Then came the voices. Cruel laughter echoing off the rocks. The hunters had landed. Spread out, one voice hissed. "Find the human. Bring the girl alive." Cale pressed the girl against the canyon wall, his body shielding hers. His whisper was sharp but calm. "Listen to me. Do not panic. Fear is their weapon." She nodded, but her hands shook. Deep inside, the same energy stirred the one that had lit the orb. Her body hummed with it, uncontrolled, dangerous. Footsteps drew closer. Alien figures appeared between the rocks, weapons glowing. Cale raised his gun, his movements precise, steady, a silent signal for her to stay down. The first alien rounded the corner. A sharp crack echoed, the alien dropped, but more came. Shadows moved across the canyon walls, closing in. The girl's breathing grew quick. Sparks flickered in the air. Around her, Rocks trembled near her feet. Kale noticed his voice cutting through her fear. Control it. Do not let fear control you. Her glowing eyes widened. The energy inside her burned, begging to be unleashed. She pressed her hands against the stone wall, trembling. And then it happened. A burst of light shot from her palms. The canyon shook. Rocks cracked and fell, blocking part of the path. The aliens hissed in anger, stumbling back. The girl gasped. Falling to her knees, I didn't mean to. Kale grabbed her arm, pulling her up. His eyes burned with urgency. Good, you gave us time. Now move. They ran deeper into the canyon, the hunters roaring behind them. The storm above grew wild, lightning splitting the sky. The girl's heart raced, fear and power clashing inside her. She had saved them for a moment, but she also feared what else she might unleash. Kale's hand stayed firm on her shoulder as they ran. His voice was steady, almost certain, even in chaos. They will never stop hunting you, he said. So, you must decide run forever, or learn to fight. Her chest burned, her glowing eyes shining in the stormlight. She did not answer, but inside, she knew the time for hiding was ending. The storm raged above the canyon, lightning cutting through the black sky. Dust swirled around them, hiding Kale and the girl for a short moment. But she knew the hunters were still close. Their voices echoed in the distance, sharp and cruel. Find them. The girl is the key. Her chest tightened. The word key made her skin crawl. She did not want to be a key or a weapon or anything they wanted. She wanted to be invisible, silent, nothing. Kale crouched beside her, his back against the rock. His weapon hummed softly in his hands. Ready? His face was calm, but his eyes sharp, steady, never stopped moving. He scanned the canyon, always listening. The girl's breath trembled. They will not stop, Kale. You said it yourself. No matter where I run, they will chase me. Maybe I should give myself up. Kale turned to her, his gaze burning like fire. Do not ever say that again. Her glowing eyes widened. But if I go, you will live. Kale's voice was low, but every word cut like steel. And if you go, they will not stop at you. They will use you. They will break you. And then they will come for more. Entire worlds will burn because of what you carry inside. Her chest shook. Then what am I supposed to do? I cannot control it. Every time it comes out, I destroy something. I hurt someone. Kale leaned closer, his scarred face firm. You do not understand yet. Your power is not only destruction, it is choice. And you must make it now. The girl's heart pounded. Her power hummed beneath her skin, dangerous and wild. She remembered the orb glowing in her hands, the rocks falling in the canyon, the fear in the eyes of those who called her cursed. She whispered, broken, what if I choose wrong? Kale's eyes softened, just for a moment. Then you learn. And you try again. That is what it means to live. But hiding is not living. It is only waiting to die. Her throat ached. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever believed she had a choice. The wind howled above them. Shadows moved closer, alien hunters spreading through the canyon. Kale looked at her again. His voice was steady, like a guide through the storm. Listen to me. You can keep running. You can stay afraid. Or, he paused, his gaze locking on hers. Or you can stand and decide what your power is, not theirs. Yours. The girl closed her eyes. In the darkness behind her eyelids, she saw the market again. The chains on her wrists, the laughter, the feeling of being worthless. She had believed it her whole life, But then she saw Kale's face, the way he stood for her when no one else would. The way he told her she was not nothing. Her heart shook. Could she believe him? Could she believe herself? The sound of footsteps grew closer. The hunters were almost there. Their voices hissed through the storm. She is near. Do not let her escape. The girl's body trembled. Her hands sparked faint light, the energy begging to be free. She felt fear, but also something. New anger, not at herself. At them, at the chains. At the galaxy that had called her worthless. She opened her eyes. They glowed brighter than ever before. Kale watched her, his lips curving slightly, almost a smile. So, what do you choose? Her voice was quiet, but steady. I choose not to run. The air around her shifted. The rocks at her feet shook. Her power, once wild and broken, began to flow like a river. Steady and strong, the hunters appeared at the mouth of the canyon, their red lights glowing through the dust. They raised their weapons, ready to strike. But before Kale could fire, the girl stepped forward. Her fear was still there, but it no longer ruled her. She raised her hands. A wall of energy burst out, slamming into the rocks. The canyon shook, boulders falling to block the path. The hunters shouted, stumbling back. Kale's eyes widened, but not in fear. In respect. The girl turned to him, her breath heavy. I cannot do everything yet, but I can do this. Kale nodded once. His voice carried pride. That is enough. For now. The storm raged louder, but inside her chest, a new calm began to grow. For the first time in her life, she had chosen not to vanish, not to give in, but to stand. She was not a curse. She was not worthless. She was something else. Something new, and though the hunters would come again, though the galaxy would not stop, she knew now that she had a path, not just Kale's path, her own. The canyon storm raged, lightning flashing across the sky like fire tearing heaven apart. The alien hunters regrouped beyond the fallen rocks. Their angry voices carried through the wind. She cannot run forever. One hissed. She belongs. To us? Another shouted. The girl stood at the center of the canyon, her glowing eyes steady, her chest rising with heavy breaths. She had chosen not to run. But the choice had only opened the door. Now she had to walk through it. Kale stood beside her, his weapon gripped tight. His scars caught the pale glow of the storm, his face calm but firm. He looked at her, not as a protector watching a victim, but as a soldier standing with an equal. They will break through soon, he said. When they do, you cannot hesitate. Her throat tightened. And if I lose control, Kale's voice was like iron, then lose it for me, not for them. The words struck deep. She swallowed hard, her hands trembling with the storm of energy. Inside her, the rocks ahead shook violently. The hunters blasted through, their weapons glowing red, their eyes burning with hunger. The canyon filled with their cruel laughter. Kale raised his weapon, firing sharp bursts of light. 2 hunters fell, their bodies crashing against the stone. But more came, climbing the walls, circling from above. The girl's chest ached. Her fear tried to rise again, but another voice, stronger, echoed inside her. Not cursed, not worthless. Power. She stepped forward. Her glowing eyes blazed like stars. Sparks of energy rippled around her arms, crackling in the air. The hunters froze for a moment, their weapons trembling in their hands. She is unstable, one snarled. Strike now, before she too late. The girl raised her hands. A wave of light exploded outward, slamming into the canyon walls. Rocks split, dust and fire filling the air. Hunters screamed as the blast hurled them back. Kale shielded his face, but his eyes stayed on her, watching not with fear, but with awe. The girl's body shook, but she did not fall. Her power roared through the canyon, bending the storm itself. Lightning followed her command, striking where her eyes turned. The hunters tried to regroup, but the ground itself trembled beneath her will. For the first time in her life, she was not running from her power. She was guiding it. The hunter's leader stepped forward, his voice sharp. "You think you are strong, little girl. You are nothing without us. You cannot survive alone." Her glowing eyes locked on him, burning brighter than the storm. Her voice cut through the chaos, steady and fierce. "I was sold for nothing. I was chained, mocked, and forgotten. But now I see the truth. I am not yours. I was never yours. I am mine." Energy surged around her like a living storm. She raised both hands, and the canyon shook with thunder. A blinding blast erupted, tearing through the hunters. Their screams vanished into the roar of light. When the dust cleared, the canyon was silent. Broken weapons and shattered rocks lay scattered across the ground. The hunters were gun-defeated. Scattered, powerless. The girl's body swayed, exhaustion pulling at her, but she remained standing. The storm above began to fade, the sky opening to reveal the calm stars beyond. Cale lowered his weapon, his eyes still fixed on her. Slowly, he stepped closer. "You did it." Her knees weakened. She sank to the ground, trembling. "I almost lost myself." Cale crouched beside her, his voice softer now. "No, you found yourself." Her glowing eyes shimmered with tears. "But this power, it is dangerous. I am dangerous." Cale placed a scarred hand gently on her shoulder. "Dangerous, yes. But dangerous does not mean evil. It means you matter. It means the galaxy will listen, whether it wants to or not." Her chest ached, but for the first time, it was not with fear. It was with something she had not felt in years. Hope. The stars above shone brighter, as if watching her. The chains of the market, the laughter, the word worthless, all of it felt distant now. Like shadows fading before dawn, she was no longer the girl who had been sold for nothing. She was the girl who had chosen, the girl who had stood, the girl who had changed everything. Cale's voice broke the silence. "They will come again. More of them, stronger than these." She looked at him, her eyes steady, her voice quiet but sure. "Then let them come." For a long moment, Cale stared at her. Then, slowly, he smiled, not a smile of victory, but of respect. He rose, offering his hand. She took it. Together, they stood beneath the endless night sky, their shadows stretching long against the canyon floor. The galaxy was vast, full of enemies, full of fear, but also full of choices. And for the first time, the girl knew she was ready to make them. She had been sold for nothing, but with him and with her own strength, she had become everything.